Hi everyone, and welcome back to Tease Theses. For today I have for you Holly by author Stephen King, and I want to ask your opinion. This is a pretty decent cover, right? But not nice enough to have two. I have two copies of this book because I ended up misplacing one of them, and I looked all over the house trying to find my copy. At least I thought I did. And I ended up calling around to several places thinking that I had left my book there. And the thing is I ended up finding it at home. We have this chair that we keep near the front door that we toss our jackets and our coats. And I was looking for something else, and I found the book buried beneath a couple of jackets. I need to stop losing things. I mean, I've lost my bracelet. I don't know. If it can be lost, it will be lost. My mama used to tell me if my head wasn't on my neck, I would lose that too. So the thing is, with having two copies of this book, I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. And for any of you who have watched any of my videos, you know that Stephen King is my favorite author, but I kind of don't want to say that right now. You know how when your favorite team isn't doing so well and somebody asks you who you're rooting for and you kind of don't want to say? That's how I'm kind of feeling right now when it comes to Holly. I'm not saying that it wasn't a suspenseful book because King is known for suspense. Because actually, when I got to the end of this book, I was kind of gripped. I wanted to know how Holly was going to get herself out of this. But it wasn't up there with what you would expect from the King of Horror, even though, of course, it's not horror. It's more suspense thriller. But still, it's King. And also, I found some issues with the story, and I don't know if I want to say that was an issue necessarily with King, because as an author, there are things that we're going to do. We're going to make mistakes, and so it's kind of up to the editor to make sure that those mistakes don't make it into the book. But there is an issue with this book of repetition. And at first, when it first happened, I kind of thought it might have been me. You know, I'm well versed in Holly. You know, I've seen the Outsiders series. I read Holly's short story in his If It Bleeds series. So I kind of thought that maybe some of the previous writing had gotten in and I had maybe read something in another story. But after it happened 2 or 3 times, I start to realize that no, it's not me. There is some repetition in the book. Mainly that repetition centers around Holly while she's investigating this missing woman's case. For anyone who knows Holly, you know she's a timid mouse. And so there's this instances in the story where when she's on the case, she reflects to herself that, you know, usually in my everyday life, I'm a little scared to talk to people, but not when I'm on the case. And she says this several times within the story. And as I said, that was for his editor to find, not for me. So not really sure where the fault lies in that one. And there's another thing that kept me from liking this book as much as I possibly could. There are a lot of cliches and nods to the past within the story. For instance, comparing someone to a character from an old comic strip. And I, for one, am a history buff, so I don't necessarily mind those type of things. You know, I don't have a problem researching something that I don't know about because I like learning things. However, it happens a lot in this story. And it wouldn't have been so bad if it was just Holly doing the comparison and throwing in her catchphrases, because we know that's what Holly does. However, it happens with the older couple in the story, Emily and Roddy Harris, and it also happens with Barbara, who's like 19 or 20 years old. And so I kind of felt that maybe this was kind of like written like a farewell story, where King is kind of giving us a little insight into things that he enjoyed in his past, things that he enjoyed growing up. And so even with that, it still was a bit much for me. So for anybody who hasn't read Holly, the story takes place during COVID, and Holly's mother has just passed away. And right now, the detective agency that she runs has been shut down because not only has her mother passed, but because her partner has COVID. However, Holly needs to kind of get out of her head. And this woman has been constantly calling her phone, her partner's phone, and leaving messages on the company phone. And she gives in and she takes the woman's call and finds out that the woman's daughter is missing. And at first it kind of looks like Penny Doll just took off. But as the story progresses, we find out that Penny's not the only one that's missing, and she's not the only one that is going missing within this area that people are being taken from. And so we eventually find out that it's an older couple who's trying to stave off getting old, and they believe that they have found the answer to the fountain of youth, and that answer is eating people, especially eating the brains and the livers of people. And yes, that does sound like a great story, and in itself it kind of is, but when it comes to King, it kind of isn't. I mean, I really did want to love this book. I am a big fan of Holly as much as King is himself, and I love watching Cynthia Erivo when she's playing her, but it just wasn't what I needed it to be. But I'm not saying an older couple who are kidnapping and eating people doesn't make for a good story. So you may want to pick up your own copy and find out what happens and let me know what you think. So that's all I have for you guys today. And until next time, take care, stay safe, and try to do something nice for a stranger so we can all do our part to make this world a better place.